Hello to everyone. It's lovely to be here. Now we jumped already. Yeah, here. So work is not what it used to be. I think we all have different experiences when we think about what is work and what is too much work, too little work, and so on. But my job or task today is talk from experience. And why from experience is because we all work with people, but maybe some work more with people, some less. And I'm from Frontis Talent Advisory and Figure Baltic Advisory, which both are consultancy advisory companies, and 35 years. I haven't been there 35 years, of course, a little less than a quarter of that time. And we have offices in all Baltic countries, and what we do is everything concerning people, from talent acquisition, talent assessment, talent analysis, talent development, so on, so on. And we see a lot of different companies, different organizations, different practices, for good and for worse. And based on that, I will do you a short summary today. What has work, what it was, what it is right now, and what it likely will be in the future. And in the end, I will tell also why I personally do not like these predictions. What will it be in the future? So we'll get there in about 18 minutes. But very quick summary about main points. So first of all, I would say flexibility, which didn't exist almost at all, let's say a decade ago. Then with government kind of like orders, it was a rule that we had to have a flexibility, and now it's not anymore a perk, but it's a precondition. Trust and transparency, so show me, don't tell me. That's the second thing that has changed, and I would say that's a change in the works right now and coming more and more on. Then growth and skills, so from the learned skills or knowledge that you have acquired into a skill to actually learn something new. Loyalty to optionality, both employee and employer-wise, and the last one, well-being and boundaries into sustainable pace, both for the employers, so the organizations and teams will be competitive with the changing environment, changing markets, changing business, and also for the people, so both sides. And that's how I built my today's presentation up, so to bring you both views. So work has changed both for the employee and also for the employer. And going more deeply, what do these short bullet points mean? First of all, flexibility from so-called perk to a precondition. From employee view, I would say all the questions, the choice over when I work, where I work, how I work, and even, yes, believe if I work today or if I won't feel like working today. So that is not anymore a perk, so like a special thing that some companies offer and some won't, but kind of a precondition that if you don't offer all these choices, then you are not competing for the talent. And in contradiction, it's also not only a positive thing, but it takes away a lot of this unity, cohesion, teamwork, and feeling as a part of the company. So just imagine when your team all of work in different time zones. Some work in the evening, some in the morning, some do video calls with camera, some don't do. So you wouldn't feel very as a part of the team. From employer view, I would say in general, it demands a lot more. So you have to put together a team who are different locations, different mindsets, different preferences, how to make them all work together. So it has to be balanced with clarity on values, what is the time spent, what is the goal, and also feeling of a teamwork. Trust and transparency, don't show me, don't tell me. Basically, if any one of you has read a very good book and very bad book, you know the show me, don't tell me. One is the one which is more fanciful encyclopedia, just telling you everything. The other thing is actually showing. So in a sense, don't just talk about the values. We all know the values when we Google a company. But if I'm inside the company, do I actually feel that these values are being lived in every day? It's interesting to ask about company values from the top management board, who generally, I would say, can say A, B, C, D, E. These are values. And then I ask from random people around the company, what are the values? And they start to think. The ones who don't start to think, I would say, are working in a company who lives also the values, because the people feel them every day and they can say them on the top of their head. They're not on the top of the tongue. The companies where people do not have any idea what the values are, there is a lot of work to do. Not for them, but actually for the managers, and everything comes from top to down. And what it means for the employer, trust is lost way a lot faster. When you say something, you have to do it. And it's way harder to rebuild when you haven't done it. And also you have to be way more open up about pay ranges, promotion criteria, decisions, reasoning, and all these things. Yeah, some of these things are kind of provided for us from outside. If anyone knows, the EU directive comes, every company has to have clear pay ranges, clear communication, why I pay Jack more than Peter, for example, if they do the same work. But this cannot be only come from the outside as a directives or rules. You have to live them as an employer, as a manager as well. The most important, I would say, growth and skills. So from the already obtained learned skills into a skill to learn more. I would say in extreme, it would be a mindset where you think that, okay, today I learned this new thing, whether it's a skill, it's a knowledge, it's something else, and you don't think only what can I use it for, how can I use it, but you think, okay, when will it expire? So think about something you learned last week, in school, at work, at friends, family, and I would say that quite many of these things sooner or later will totally be expired. So they won't be anymore maybe usable for you. You have to relearn them. So the employees feel that the career security is not anymore being loyal and having a lot of experience, but it's how quickly I can reskill, how quickly I can learn something more, something new, something different. And that is the way how it should keep up my employability on the market. So it's not anymore I can show you on CV that I have been 5 years in this company, 7 in there, 8 in there, and that's my employability, like asterisk, but actually how quickly I have learned something new in all these roles. For the employer, it means that the half-life, basically what you invest in developing your people, is shorter. So you make all the decisions, of course, cost money, so you always calculate how much it will bring me back for the people and for the business as well, and it goes shorter. So you do have to hire for the future, implement and use different performance and talent management practices, systems, models, however we call them. And I would say that for the key question for the employer is that, okay, you're going to go and hire someone, have 2 or 3 roles already in your head ahead. So you hire someone to be financial analyst. Hire them thinking, okay, what will be their second role and third role in your company? Or if not in your company, outside your company. So always think ahead, because if you look at the long term, you will do a better decision, take a person who has more maybe potential to grow, and you will get both your investment more back, and the person himself or herself is also more, I would say, enjoying the time spent in your company. And there comes the question as well, internal growth, so promoting and growing people inside the company versus external hires. And I would say there's no right or wrong answer, but I would hint that if most often you have to go to the market to search for external talent to your company, then probably you are not valuing your people, you're not developing them, and maybe the first decisions you made, years ago, hiring the people who you have right now for the first time in the company were not as correct ones as well. So I would say that the most focus should be currently and in the future for the internal growth, and then external hires when you don't have the talent inside your company right now, or there's totally new role. And here we come to the skills. So there are a lot of things, I would say, from my experience that I had from school system that we are taught and we are learning for the moment. But they may not come out, and quite likely, quite often won't come out in real life situations when you have to start using them. So when we do different talent assessments, people analytics, developing managers and leaders, there's a lot of, I would say, aspects to consider when we think or analyze if someone will be very successful, just successful, or not successful at all in a specific role or a company. And it's not how much or knowledge they have. Here I'm always drawing a parallel that experience is maybe not the best way to predict if the person will be successful in this role or not. What skills they have, not also important, but not as important as the whole picture. And here comes these competencies, behavior, these, let's say, call them skills or behavior competencies that are transferable from one role to the other. And these are, I would say, have been, of course, important all the time throughout the history, but they have become more and more important because of the different roles in different industries, different companies, organizations. They change so quickly that the static knowledge is not so usable with such a long-term view. So you have to have transferable skills, transferable competencies. And the last two, loyalty to optionality, this psychological contract that, yeah, this is my employer. I have been here 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, is not that important anymore. Not for younger employees, and actually also not that much important for the older employees. Yeah, if you have been somewhere 20 years, you have more, maybe some, emotional contact with the office and the people there, but the psychological contract that I'm loyal to the company is not as strong as it used to be. And for employer, it means that you cannot easily buy loyalty. You must earn it through growth and fairness and your everyday decisions and the way you do things. And the question to ask is, maybe loyalty shouldn't even be a goal in itself. So why do you want people to stay in your company for 5 years, 10 years? Do they really want, if they are real talents, people are competing for them. They want to get them. And if they're moving, it means that actually your company is the area where they can grow, where you took someone with talent in and you grew them into a even better talent, and they're leaving. So they're thinking, why do you even want this loyalty? Always when we do different talent acquisition projects, we always ask what would be the time frame that you're expecting this person to be in the company, and whatever answer they give us, we always ask why. Why do you want 3 years? Why do you want 5 years? Maybe you want 6 months to do some radical change here, and then you want this person to go away. What is the why behind there? And well-being and boundaries, I would say this sustainable pace would be the key here. Is what it means is, I would say the pace, we talk about a lot of technological advances, how quickly technology and knowledge advances and develops. But it also means that actually the pace of work is going up and up and up. And on one side, yeah, you can see an employer who has to think my company has to be competitive. I have to have this very quick growth and innovation. And employee feels that it's a rat race, always so quickly going harder and harder and quicker that I cannot do it anymore, which leads to burnout, uncertainty, and not only lost productivity and turnover in a financial wise, but also your people wise. People will leave, not because they want to, because they have to. And here is a picture of what usually companies think, what do we offer to our people or potential people. The first level is the transactional part. You as an employee are giving me your time, your effort, your energy, whatever else, and that's what I offer you in compensation, benefits, career development, so on. That's the base level. That was very great 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if all of these things were actually in life offered as well. Then came the collaborative relationship built on different shared values. We see a lot that young people coming to the labor market want to feel that they have the same values with the company they work with. And currently what we are seeing is the next part that is already in some areas very quickly approaching, somewhere it takes more time, but this holistic relationship that not only considers the collaborative part, but also the whole entire experience and well-being. One suggestion I give, for example, for my managers who I coach, is that when you're going to the hiring interview, and of course you are being asked questions and you ask questions, then ask a question that how is your exit, how is the company's exit strategy built up? If I'm going to leave the company, how is this thought through? Very few companies actually have thought that out. Yeah, we have a lot of focus on onboarding and keeping them happy, but if they have decided they will leave, we'll just do maybe some complimentary interview quickly and get them out of the door. But that's an experience. Maybe in a couple of years, you want this person back. They had a very bad experience leaving your company. They do not want to come anymore. You put effort into that part, they will go somewhere else, develop themselves, and you get even better talent back in a couple of years. So ask, for example, if you have a job interview, ask the potential employer, how are they doing exit strategies, exiting employees, what are the principles, what is the model that they have, and see what they answered for you. If they have a great answer, if you're satisfied, I would say that's a very green light for the company. But most of them do not. So yeah, why is it all so important? What we're seeing and doing on the market is that people, never before has the whole organizational success depended so much on the employees. You can have a lot of great ideas, you can have a lot of capital, you can have a lot of everything else. When you don't invest in your people, when you not only money-wise, but energy-wise, emotion-wise, all this part, then you are not competing on the market anymore. So the people, not business first, not numbers first, not whatever else first, people first. And that's not, yeah, I know because our company's color is pink. It's not a pink strategy, soft strategy, that people are soft. No, that's a hard skill. That's a very hard thing to do. I would say that getting your talent management and talent strategy right is, from my experience, way more complicated than taking a company with bad financials into a company with good financials. So a couple of quick kind of solutions or suggestions. Of course, they are very much depending on the company, on the industry, public sector, private sector, all these different aspects. But the first thing is from job or work roles into competence and culture. So when you're hiring, do not think I need to fill out this role or that role. Think about all the different aspects that the people in role and similar roles in your organization will be doing and how to hire for that. And integrate all the values, culture fit into hiring, promoting, exiting, everything that there is. Adaptation to systematical change. So do not wait for the people to adapt themselves, but already know that everything is changing and the way you promise something, how you deliver something as a manager, as a leader, you have to be very realistic in that. Flexibility with clear structure. So as an employer, do not think that flexibility is a perk, that is something extra that I'm offering for the talent on the market to really get them to myself, into my company, that's a hygiene factor. If you do not do it as a first thing, you are not competing for the people at all on the market. And well-being and sustainable performance, I would say the last point, that normalize different well-being and energy check-ins, not only physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, and so on. And reward not only outcome and success, but actually failures, actually trying. So learning and improving, the thing that we have been talking so much about. So, as I said at the beginning, why I do not like personally these predictions, what will future bring, because sometimes I prefer to read last century's predictions, what will be 21st century, what will be this decade. And to be honest, very few of them actually have been accurate. Mostly what we predict about future is wrong. So if you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there, is a healthy mindset. But also you have to know where you wish to go to get anywhere at all. Otherwise you are on the same spot and not getting anywhere at all. And where we want to go in, I would believe everyone here in this room and also me and my colleagues, is towards a more engaged and motivated workforce, because people first. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's look at some questions. How should education and training systems evolve to prepare people for a work environment that is increasingly flexible, digital, and less structured?
So the training, what was the first thing? The training?
Education and training. How should it evolve to really prepare the future workforce for an environment that has changed as you described it?
Easy answer is that when the environment changes in the future, you have to already kind of like make people get used to it when they're learning. So I remember from for example, when I was in the university, I had one professor who taught us different way. One lesson was one way, the other lesson was different way, tests one way, then different way. And because my first education was law, and he was like training for us to be ready to be in the court and not to be expecting anything specific, so that was his technique. And I would say when I was practically in an environment where there's a lot of change, I had no idea what will come, I just relied on the experience that I got from there.
Dear audience, I see we have some hands up. Let's get you equipped with a microphone.
Hi, hello. Since I saw the topic name is called work is something which is not used to be back then. So my question is like, how can students like us, let's say in general, universities can make sure that students are ready to do those works which doesn't even exist this day?
Mm-hmm. So how to prepare you to do jobs that doesn't exist today?
Yes.
Whatever the work is, it will definitely include these like behavior competencies, whether it's a role that was 20 years ago or it will be in the future. So I would say that, yeah, I'm critical maybe for the educational system right now, but the knowledge and what your people know is not that important, how efficient they are. So let me, for example, critical analysis, critical thinking. It's not that important if you got the X in the mathematics, but how did you get there? So the how behind there. So I would say that educational systems should focus on more the how and more about these transferable skills and competencies, not specific knowledge and not specific static skill set. Because as we see in the AI, all this knowledge, so to say, is coming easily and easily. Good example is when I was studying again law, and I had a good friend who was studying medicine. And for us, it was taught that never learn the paragraphs in your head. Doesn't matter. And then I had a friend who had to study every ligament, every nerve, everything into his head. So that's like different ways how to learn something. But I would say that maybe what I learned was how to operate more in a new environment, new information, and they learned very well this static information. For different careers, different needs. So that would be my answer.
All right, thank you so much.
I still hope that next time when I go to a doctor, my doctor wouldn't first open ChatGPT to check, okay, what is this elbow? What does it consist of? Where do I put that little scalpel? Let me check. Let me consult with AI. So it's good that it's good that some academic education has still remained to its roots. But we have another question from here.
Well, Minister of War in the USA recently made a big meeting of high-ranking generals, and his message was that just in future there should not be any overweight generals, and also he said that they should not have any bear. So there were some other instructions to avoid any complaints, dealing too much with complaints about bad management style, or if you would consult him and your company, what would be your advice in order to make US Army from the point of view of the staff stronger?
Resign would be mine, but maybe you have a different point of view.
I don't know if me or my company even offer the kind of consultations that I personally would say that this management style there needs. So I did also look at this speech or whatever we call it and had a nice laugh. It's a hard question because clear expectations are, I would say, needed in some areas. But I would have to stay in the answer that it's called consultations or support for there is a little bit different than what we offer. That management style, there are two extremes. There are one extreme where a lot of the employees, so-called, have to adapt themselves to the managers, and the other extreme is where the managers adapt themselves to the people. I would say in the past, it was in a way that all the employees had to adapt to the manager style. Nowadays, it's more that the managers have to adapt to the people, what they need. And that would be maybe my answer for them, that currently they are very much focusing on everyone has to adapt what we say, but the other part is what we see in the world is way more important. So how to adapt yourself to the people you have. So that would be maybe my suggestion. So to put all these couple thousand to the stage and ask what do they expect of the people who were on the stage, that would be maybe the answer.
Thanks. I see one more question in Slido. Do you think traditional measures of productivity and performance are still valid in today's rapidly changing work environment?
When we think that having KPIs, having any kind of performance management, and that is a tradition in itself because it has been decades or hundreds of years, so I would say definitely there is, because that gives feedback, it gives structure, it gives guidelines, and it also gives you a development. If you don't have any kind of a goal to strive for, it is very hard to develop yourself. So I would say definitely. The question is how much they should be integrated and how they are being used. If not meeting KPIs means that you won't get a bonus, that you won't be rewarded or praised, that's not a good way. But if the KPI is that you will try maybe 5 new different things this quarter, and you will really try, it's not that soft way that just do whatever you want, but you really try and you reward this, let's say, entrepreneurship mindset, what are the 5 things I will try in my role, then that will support both the company and the person in their personal growth as well. So I would say, yeah, they still have a place.
More questions? We have a hand up over there.
Yes, thank you. Just intrigued, what do you categorize as talent among employees? And also just maybe just continue, do you see your role as growing, educating, translating the company leaderships into the employee side? Thanks.
Talent. I would say we all are talents. That's what my both Fontes and Figures mottos are, and what I believe in as well. We all have talents. It is different. We all have different talents, but we all are talents. So you could say people acquisition, people management, people so to say as well. And my role, I would say, is in a sense connecting managers and people, but mostly is focusing on managers and leaders, because I would say they do have more influence. I have limited amount of time in my day. If I would do everything that I do with every employee, I wouldn't get anywhere in every company. But if I do a very good job with a very good manager, and they will carry it on to 5, 20, 50 people, it will go as a wave. So that is the focus.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? I would love to hear more from you if you have. We have time for one exactly. So who's the one who's going to take that question? Does it have to be me? Okay, there's one more. Go ahead.
You mentioned that there's an exit strategy that you need to ask companies in the end, or not in the end, during the interview process, about the exit, and that would tell you about the company. I mean, I work at the BMW Group in Munich, and if I were to imagine that I would ask them during the interview, what is your exit strategy, I would not even make an entry. So what do you think? Is that good approach to have during the interview, or especially when that's a competitive environment?
That's my personal opinion. I ask no one to quote that. But if you ask a question about the whole employee experience, which also is exiting, and the company then says, okay, we're not hiring you, then my personal view is that I wouldn't maybe want to work there as well. That's my an answer. It's not a criticism on the company as an example, but that actually gives you a lot of information as well. Of course, we all have different, let's say, circumstances when you really need the job and you're more ready to compromise about your experience in there and leaving there. All that, of course, don't be so, let's say, critical about them. But it's a good way to think about if you want to also, and what we're seeing, that employees are getting more and more critical about employers to select out which ones support that. Because if the company thinks that the person will leave us, and that's why we won't hire this person because they're thinking about growing away, then they're not developing you, they're not supporting you, they may not be giving you constructive and growing feedback, and that's all you may be giving up just getting the job.
Henry, thank you so much. We're actually going to continue the conversation with Henry here in roughly half an hour or so. But before that, an applause for him is a good idea.